play a lot smarter basketball if you're Utah and shoot better.
This was the one series that, and I'm not taking anything away from the Utah Jazz, but this was the one series. You look at the Houston Rockets, you look at that roster that they built with Chris Paul, Clint Capella, and what he's been doing, and of course James Harden, who we've been talking about all year as an MVP candidate as well. But this was the one series that I thought I just don't see the Jazz really matching up well against them. And you know what happened? They did play that crazy defense against James Harden, but you know what happened? He found Clint Capella time and time and time and time again. And Capella was just, little screen and roll, boom, dunk, alley-oop, dunk. I mean, it was just crazy watching that game. And Chris Paul, like you said, I will say this. Chris Paul, there was a play that happened, and after the play happened, I watched Chris Paul walking away, and he was massaging his shoulder, massaging his neck and his shoulder.
You put that evil on us, Pat Hill.
No, I'm not. I'm just commenting on. I'm just commenting on an observation that I made. But no, he's playing really well. Some of the passes that he was making. I mean, Gordon's playing really well. I mean, that team. They don't shoot. Obviously, they shot 15 for 41 from the 3-point line.
God,
here's the thing about it, right? Here's the thing about it, though. Well, I mean, you talk about that, but then you talk about Harden, and I mean, Harden was 4 for 10.
Yeah.
So Harden shot 40%, but you talk about him, and you talk about just a couple of the other players. Like I said, Eric Gordon was 17 points. Capella was 16 points. Chris Paul with 14 points. Daniel House Jr. coming out there with 11 points. Kenneth Faried with 11 points. Gerald Green out there with 9 points. He come out there and he made some shots towards the end of the game. I mean, end of the game was kind of crazy just watching it with some of the players. They had Shumpert out there playing. Green was out there playing late in the game. Obviously, right. So, I mean, you're looking at it. I mean, it was just fun to watch to me, to see him going up and down the court the way they were. But Clint Capella was 16 and 12. It was awesome to watch. Just one block. But I think that guy is one of the best young and up and coming big men in the league right now.
I'd agree with that 100%.
And he plays so well off of Harden.
Yeah,
with
that's
those screens.
Perfect match. He's a young DeAndre Jordan. I'll say that.
Yep.
The way that CP3 used to work with DJ,
that's
the way that Harden works with him. And I think moving forward in this series, if I'm the Houston Rockets, let's shoot a better percentage, but keep on doing what we're doing, sharing the ball. If I'm the Utah Jazz, you've got to cut down the turnovers, and you got to start hitting some shots. So we'll have to see how that series moves on. Look at our next series in the Western Conference. You have the Denver Nuggets against the San Antonio Spurs. First home playoff game in Denver for whatever seems to me like forever, going up against San Antonio. And in usual San Antonio Spurs fashion, Greg Popovich takes away what you do best. He mucks up the game a little bit. Not a great shooting game from either team, but at the end of the day, the San Antonio Spurs pull out the W, and they got a 1-0 lead. Yeah,
that series is going to be crazy because Denver's deep and Denver's good. But one thing I did want to... Oh, yeah. But the thing is like Jokic, right? Jokic became the 4th player in NBA history to record a triple-double in his playoff debut. The first player since LeBron James did it in 2006. So, I mean, that guy is a beast.
Yeah,
we've been talking about all year long. What Murray's been doing for that team as well. Harris, I mean, that team is just stacked. I mean, they could shoot the ball. I'm not even going to say his name because the roster, it just, I don't even know what it shows his name as on the roster anymore because he never gets the chance to play. Isaiah Thomas. What?
You don't even know what his name is.
I know what his name is, but do they know what his name is on the roster? Because if I had a basketball, I'm just saying, if I knew I had a basketball team and on the roster it said Isaiah Thomas on the roster, I think Isaiah Thomas would be playing. I don't care how good he is. His name's Isaiah Thomas, right? I mean, when you think about Isaiah Thomas, what do you think about?
Detroit Pistons, yes,
right?
Sir.
So, I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, but seriously, I mean, I don't know. I think they need to get him some playing time. I mean, we know what he can do when he gets hot. We know what he can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that series is going to be interesting to watch because LaMarcus Aldridge, man, he can dominate. And DeRozan came out there with a double-double. So, I mean, they're going to be good. Did you see that dunk, though, that Derek White had on Paul Millsap? I saw it live.
Snatched his soul from that young man.
I saw it live. He was like, nope, I am dunking this, and you are not going to stop me.
Yeah, that was a yam to end all yams. I mean, you look at Denver, just got to be, like we've been setting up a theme, a lot of these teams that lost. Jamal Murray was 8 for 23. You've got to shoot better than that. LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan struggled a little bit shooting-wise, but it didn't matter when you got 5 players in double figures for San Antonio. So, I mean, broken record. Denver's got to shoot better. Their defense is where it needed to be. That can be improved a little bit, but I think if the Nuggets shoot a little bit better and get a little bit more production from their bench, they can tie this thing up at 1 game apiece. If they don't, expect San Antonio to do the same thing, which is take away your best player by double teaming. They were double teaming the Joker, making it uncomfortable, forcing them to run their offense different than they usually do. So we'll have to see how moving forward how that goes. But right now, San Antonio Spurs with a 1-0 lead over top of them. Let's go back to the Eastern Conference, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Boston Celtics versus the Indiana Pacers. This game, to me, a tale of two halves, also kind of ugly, man. Boston has a 1-0 lead over the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers just need some better shooting. I mean, you got guys like Tyreke Evans, Darren Collison that just struggled. I mean, those guys combined to be 6 for 22 from the field. A grinded out win for the Celtics. I mean, they shot 36% from the field, which is not the way that you want to win basketball games. And then the Pacers, my God, we were talking about the Clippers second half. An 11-point lead goes away. You score 8 points in the third quarter. And total for the second half, the Pacers scored 29 points. You're not winning basketball games like that.
No, you're definitely not. You're not winning basketball games going 12 for 21 from the free throw line either, or 6 for 7 from the 3-point line as well. That game, I mean, I said it all along. I thought that the Pacers would make the playoffs because of where they were at when they had Oladipo, and they kept it there. But you could just tell they didn't have that next gear. In the playoffs, you need that next gear. You can't be stuck in 4th gear. You got to get into 5th gear and just get it rolling. And that's what teams like the Golden State Warriors have been doing. That's what teams like the Rockets have been doing. Even last night, the Sixers, what they were able to do. Because you really have to pick up the pace. That's the thing about the playoffs. If you play that real slow, just dribble up, I mean, you got to get as many possessions as you can out of every single game. But I kind of saw that coming. I mean, obviously, I can't say I saw that coming because we've also seen what Boston's done this year. It's like, hey, 1 minute you're this team, 1 minute you're that team. Kyrie's, fighting with people, but that actually wasn't too bad. I mean, you got, of course, Morris with over 20 points, yeah. Kyrie with 20 points, Tatum with 15, and Horford with 10 points and 11 rebounds. So, hey, that series, I think that's going to be a sweep. I don't really think the Pacers have enough. They might win one game, but I predict a sweep on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Thaddeus Young, 3 for 8 from the field. Where are you at, man? You're supposed to be one of the young, up-and-coming big men in the NBA. Yeah, you were the hottest thing on the block coming into the season. And the playoffs are where, in my opinion, legends and careers are made. So, I mean, you're going to need a better effort from the Pacers for sure, shooting-wise. 29 points in the second half is not getting it done. Our last series in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be a quick conversation here. We both called utter destruction. Could it be Monstars 2.0 almost? You have the Milwaukee Bucks facing off against the Detroit Pistons minus Blake Griffin. Huge blow. 121-86 game 1 victory for the Bucks. I mean, 7 players in double figures. Giannis 24 points, 17 boards. I don't even know. I mean, the first quarter, Detroit got outscored 38-18. I don't even know what you say to this, man, except for Detroit, thanks for coming. I hope you guys get some great parting gifts. Some good experience for the young players. I mean, shout out to Luke Kennard. That guy was a really decent player at Duke. Showed out a little bit in his first playoff performance. But I think for this one, turn off the lights, the party's over.
Yeah, no Blake Griffin equals no win for the Pistons this series. Like they just can't do it. I don't care what Reggie Jackson and Drummond and Kennard can do. They're going to need the entire team to score in double figures and to shoot 75% from the 3-point line. to actually even have a chance to win. Not to win, but to have a chance to win. I mean, we talk about it. Thon Maker, 2 for 10 from the field. And I'm not saying Thon Maker's a guy that's going to come out there and light up the scoreboard any given night, but I mean, you got a guy 2 for 10. Ellington, 2 for 10 from the field.
Wayne Ellington was horrible.
I mean, you just can't do that. 8 for 27 from the 3-point line. 8 for 13 from the free throw line. And only attempted 13 free throws. Playoffs, to me, it comes down to possessions, and it comes down to making your free throws. If you're only attempting 10 free throws a game, that's not good. You need to get to that 15, 16, 17 and be making at least 75% of those, 80% of those, if not better, to be the winning team. So, but yeah, definitely shout out to Luke Kennard, 21 points in his playoff debut out of Duke. But man, Giannis, Middleton, Bledsoe, even George Hill had 16 points that game.
George Hill, welcome back to the land of the NBA living, buddy. After that Cleveland Cavaliers experiment, welcome back, buddy.
Yep.
Good to have you.
So, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, again, same thing. I don't think that the Pistons are going to win a game. I think that's a sweep. I think we can move on to the next round with that series.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Detroit. A good learning experience for young players, though. Finally, our last series to go over, my personal favorite series. I don't care what time these games start. I am Red Bull injected and ready to go. Oklahoma City Thunder against the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland right now currently holding a 1-0 lead. Game 2 is tonight. I cannot wait. Stuttering and stammering over my words. I'm so excited about this one. The first game was great. I mean, you had Portland coming out with 39 points in the first quarter. The Damian Lillard versus Russell Westbrook matchup is what I am here for. But CJ McCollum, wanted to remind everybody, he plays for Portland too. You had Portland lead by as many as 19 points, hitting 11 3-pointers for the game. Just really, really exciting. Russell Westbrook can roll out of bed and get a triple-double. He did. My questions for Oklahoma City is Paul George and the health, him talking post-game. That was the first time he was able to lift his shoulder up and a good, decent range of motion. So what kind of shape is he going to be in? Also, Russell Westbrook, there was some talk about possibly having an ankle injury. We'll have to see moving forward how that goes. Just a really, really big performance. And shout out to Enes Kanter, one of my favorite personalities in the NBA. This guy's 20 points and 18 rebounds in his Portland Trailblazer playoff debut against his former team. These two teams just are so hungry. A lot of similarities. It's exciting basketball, Pat.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm not putting a damper on it, but you look at, and I picked the Thunder to win. So, just seeing that and how that went, it was crazy. But you look at a guy like Paul George, 4 for 15 from the 3-point line. Grant, 0 for 3. Ferguson, 1 for 2. Westbrook, 0 for 4. Schroeder, 0 for 7. You're talking about a team that went 5 for 33 from the 3-point line. You're not going to win You're not going to win too many games like that. So, I mean, shout out to the Trailblazers. Everybody kind of, with the Nurkic injury, everybody kind of,
Oh, we're not going to win. It's over for them.
Right. But Kanter came out and did his thing with 18 rebounds, like you said. 18 rebounds, 2 blocks, 20 points. Damian Lillard, what can you say about the man? He can shoot from anywhere on the court. The most
just inside the logo pull up like it's nothing, baby.
To me, and I know we were talking about the other day. You were saying about underrated. I think you were saying last week that he was underrated. I mean, I don't say that he's underrated. I say that he's underappreciated.
Okay,
because he's definitely not underrated. I mean, people know who he is. They know they've seen what he can do in the playoffs. They've seen what he does. But I just don't think they appreciate really what he's done and how he's played on that team and what he's really brought that team along every year they make the playoffs. It's crazy because he does his thing and just we're looking for somebody else to step up. McCollum stepped up, Kanter stepped up, and that's where it goes. I mean, this is going to be a back and forth series. I still think it's probably going to go 6 or 7 games because I think the Thunder with Westbrook and Paul George can both go off at any given point.
I respect that. Yeah, I agree. It all depends on health for both those guys. Paul 100%. George especially. He's been the guy that's kind of led that team. And I think with Damian Lillard, I mean, it's a West Coast. It's people that watch basketball on the East Coast miss a lot of his games. It's very rare that it's a normal East Coast time. Unless you're a real hoop head, you don't watch a lot of Damian Lillard's games. And I also think for me personally, the reason why I love this guy so much is the way he plays. I love his game. And off the court too, man. Loyal to Portland. I don't want to jump. I don't want to be another guy who just goes ring chasing. I want to build something in Portland. I want to respect that these guys drafted me, and I want to take them as far as I can take them. And I think he made a comment of,